Hello everyone! Today I'm gonna show you how I doubled my investment within 2 months. So it all got started in New Year. So I was like, I'm gonna do an experiment with cryptocurrencies, with investing generally. Like, it was my first time investing and I wanted to learn more about it because I had money lying around, or I still have money lying around in my bank account, and it's sitting idle there and not producing anything. It's just losing value every year with inflation. I went out and took some of my money and invested that. I'm gonna go over where I invested my money, how much I invested, how it developed over time during these 2 months, so basically January and February, where I want to go from here, so the things I learned and what I could actually have earned if I had invested more, like if I had invested all of my savings, for example. So I'll start with what I actually invested, the amount of money that I invested and where I got that from. So I invested 80 euros initially. I actually didn't increase my initial investment. All the time I was playing with 80 euros. So going straight to where I got that money from, those were not my savings and not from my day-to-day job, but they were actually money that I got through using the Brave browser. Brave is a browser that kind of gives you some money from advertisement. So in my case it was 80 euros over one whole year. The first asset I invested in was Ethereum rather than Bitcoin, because Ethereum, I informed myself that it has a better blockchain, or kind of a more modern technology, and has a better method of securing the blockchain. But the advantage that Bitcoin has is that it has a higher reach, like it has more people adopting it because it's more famous, whereas Ethereum is not so well known, or not as well known as Bitcoin. I mean, both Bitcoin and Ethereum have their own pros and cons. I'm gonna go over Bitcoin first. So I thought Bitcoin was dead. Still, since it was an experiment, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go all in and buy some Bitcoin. I think initially it was half of those 80 euros, so it was 40 euros of Bitcoin. Then I diversified that, so I took some Bitcoin out and invested in other cryptocurrencies. So like I said, I went ahead and bought some Bitcoin. Then later in February something happened. Elon Musk bought a lot of Bitcoin and he tweeted about Bitcoin like being the future, so it was very bullish by that time. Well, actually it's not so long ago, and you still have the side effects from that, but it's definitely not as high as it was when Musk was promoting Bitcoin. So then with Ethereum, I trust Ethereum because it has a more modern technology backing it, and it kind of feels a bit safer than Bitcoin and not so volatile, although Ethereum is also quite volatile. But Ethereum has experienced a very big growth during the last year. So I'm gonna check the Ethereum price. I think it was, it also had another high here around 2018. Now it's even higher. Well, I also invested in other cryptocurrencies. Well, some of them did have high volatility, but I was like, let's just go all in, take all the risks, because it's like that money, I didn't even have to work hard for it, because it was all just from browsing. It was not that horrible in case I lost it all, but it was never the case. I never went negative. So that's something that taught me that it is not as negative as they make it look like. So in my case, it was a very nice experience. Now, some of the cryptocurrencies that I invested in are, for example, Solana, and I don't even know much about Solana, but I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna buy some of it. I diversified all of my assets, because you might have already heard about this, but do not put all your eggs in one basket, because imagine a stone falls into the basket, it's gonna break all your eggs. You wanna spread them. This was in January. It was at 118. I had I took all of my euros, I took all of my money, my euro card, then I invested into Ethereum, like I said, Bitcoin, gold. So yeah, those are two things that I invested in. First I invested in gold, and then I invested in silver. Yeah, then I also had XLM, Stellar Lumens, which is a cryptocurrency that I saw that was growing very fast last year, and I was like, yeah, I want to get on the train before it stops. I was still holding some Brave browser tokens that I then sold, because I saw that it is very volatile and it doesn't have a very high valuation. So that's why I decided to sell everything off. We're gonna look at February. So 18th of January, of course I do not have a picture for every day, but I took pictures randomly. So the next one I took was from the 1st of February, and the 1st of February it didn't rise very much, but from the 18th of January to the 1st of February it went up 2 euros, only 2 euros. That seems very little, and it is very little, but that shows that there are times when it's gonna rise a lot and times when it's not gonna rise so much, or even fall. Like right now it was falling, now it went up again. I learned to not get nervous about it and to know, hey, I started out with 80 euros, everything above that is okay. And now we are sitting at 160 or 163 today. So for me that's okay. So yeah, you can see that there I had already bought silver, and I also bought silica, which is another cryptocurrency. Now it fell again, yeah, of course these things are very volatile, but as you can see now, silica right now is a bit lower than it was a couple of months ago, but still it's higher than what it used to be in the past. So that's something that you also have to take into account. Things tend to rise and tend to recover. So now let's go to, so the next one would be the 3rd of February, and within 2 days it went up by, let's see, it went up by 10 euros. So within 2 days it went up by 10 euros. Within 15 days it went up by 2 euros. So there you see that it depends on the day. I was still holding the same assets. Then we have the 8th of February. It went up by another 10 or 12 euros. Again, just a couple of days later, but it was looking pretty good. And I bought some Cardano, which was getting pretty popular by that time, at least that's what I felt. And diversifying even more. And when I diversified, it grew more and more. Let's see, so 11th of February, so it went for 8th of February 142, 11th of February 164. So it went up by 20 euros something in just a couple of days again. So then 164 to 174 within 1 day, because I diversified even more. I bought Solana, and so I earned more by diversifying like that. 181 on the 3rd day in a row. So within 3 days, kind of, yeah, went 40 euros up or something, or yeah, 20 euros up. Then 15th it went down, yeah, 15th it went down. But then on the 20th of February, within 5 days, went from 171 to 195. And that was by the time that I was like, wow, 195 euros from an initial investment of 80 euros. That's a lot. I was gonna hit the 200 euro mark. Of course, then it fell. On the 23rd of February, it was 149 euros. And I could have panicked and sold off everything. And I could have also panicked and sold everything, but I did not. I just kept holding, and now I'm sitting at 163 again, and I let it rise again. Why not? I just leave it there. I'm not gonna touch it. I don't need that money. I just leave it there. Yeah, like I said, that was the development of the money. So as a recap of the things I learned is that we need to embrace risk. Risk is everywhere, and I think one of the biggest risks is that you are gonna lose everything in the end, or almost everything, if you just hold all of your cash, hold all of your assets. Every year is gonna be 2%. 2%. That's the inflation rate. They wanted to make it higher now. So it's gonna become 2% less valuable every year. Now invest in something that gets you a 2% return per year, and that's pretty easy, I think. And always remind ourselves that not taking risks is already a risk for itself. Inflation calculator. So let's say we have $100 in 2021, and we are gonna save that over 10 years, for example. Okay. If I keep $100 without any interest by 2031, with the current inflation rate that they wanted to raise anyways, you lose $28 in value just by holding it, holding your cash in dollars within 10 years. You get the idea. You're losing every year by just holding your cash in the bank account. And that's also something that I was doing all this time, because I was taught as a child, you have to save and save up for your college, save up for retirement. Just put your money in the closet and leave it there, everything in cash. Just leave it there and it will grow or something. No, it will not grow, it will rot. Another thing that I learned is that it's not as bad as you think it is. Like investing, everyone is gonna lose. I think that it says 98% of people lose money in the stock market, and it's possible that you lose money in the stock market, but there are so many other markets. Quite honestly, yeah, of course, I know that getting into cryptocurrencies, they can be very volatile, and they are indeed very volatile, some of them, but still, I did not lose anything. Like I could have gone from 80 euros to 10 euros. I actually doubled my money in 2 months. Not even after 2 months. After 1.5 months, I was sitting at a return of more than double. I was sitting at 195 euros from an investment of 80 euros. And the last thing I learned from this experiment is that there is a lot of power in diversifying your income. For me, it worked after I diversified into, I think, 7 income sources or more, 8, 9, I don't know. I do not want to depend on one salary. I do not want to depend on one thing, my job. I want to depend on multiple things. And that's something that I learned with this experiment. And I've learned so much in the last 2 months that even if I had lost money, I would have lost some money, but I would have earned a lot of knowledge. I thank you for watching the video. A quick reminder to like and subscribe so that I can grow faster, and I want to reach many people, like get many different opinions. I hope you can help me reach my goal. Yeah, you can also give me some suggestions, ideas, just write it all down in the comments below. So I thank you for watching, and until next time.